Alright, YouTube, it's me, David Harry, your favourite YouTuber and vlogger. Right, in this video, I'm just going to give you a quick example of this modified microphone that I've done, and also show you how I kind of like, well, I use the term modification. I would like to probably be a little bit more honest with this and say I'm going to show you how I butchered the microphone. Anyway, so what it is, this is a Maono PM500 capsule and like electronics and stuff put inside of a 512 audio Limelight. So the body is the Limelight microphone and the guts inside of it are the PM500. Now, the reason why I've done this modification is because I liked the sound of the PM500, but it was a side address, or it is a side address microphone. However, for this type of thing on camera where I've got a mic in shot close to me, I would rather have an end address microphone. So essentially what I was wanting to do was have a PM500 type sound and microphone, but it looked more like, or it acted like an end address as opposed to a side address, hence why I done this. Anyway, so the first thing to do here is to show you what the inside of this microphone looks like. Okay, so this is the inside of the microphone. So let me just kind of quickly flash through what's gone on here. In fact, if I turn it around this side, this might be a bit easier to see the first thing that I've done. So what it is, the microphone originally had like a brass rod here, which it still does, and then a brass rod on this side, and then that held the circuit board in place for the original dynamic microphone. However, what I done, I took that brass rod there, from there, so I unscrewed it from there and then glued it to the end of the other brass rod. So that basically just gives me an extended rod here, which then I fumbled a bunch of stuff on the end here in order to get the capsule placed further up into the end of the tube, or closer to the end of the tube. And then what I've done is took the circuit board from the original condenser microphone and then put it onto the rod here. Now luckily for me, there was one screw hole that managed to line up with a screw hole, or a screw there, or a screw hole on the board for the condenser. So essentially I managed to get the circuitry inside here from the condenser quite easily, to be honest, and then obviously just gluing everything up here to extend this rod, which basically acts as a support for the capsule. Now, just before I point out what I've done on the capsule to butcher that into place, for anybody who's wondering, these circuit boards that you get here within condenser microphones, they kind of do a few things, but the most basic thing that they do is to decouple the phantom power that comes in through the XLR, and then part of that power is used to feed the microphone. So with the condenser microphone, that has to be polarized, so part of that voltage is used through the circuitry to polarize the microphone. So like I say, first of all, the phantom power gets decoupled, and then it gets used to polarize the capsule. And then on top of that, then there's also some form of like preamplifier in here as well, so that'll kind of preamp the signal to go back out the microphone as well. Also, what we can see here is a transformer. It's likely that that transformer is being used as part of the balancing system as well. And then there's obviously a few other things here that can go on. There'll be maybe some microphones might have some kind of tone control as well and what have you. Again, all that stuff gets powered from the phantom power that comes in. But nonetheless, this circuit board here takes care of powering the capsule, decoupling and all kinds of stuff, and then also doing the preamplification and maybe some form of tone control, and then also balancing and stuff like that for the XLR output. And then if we have a look up here with the with the capsule, hopefully I've got some kind of focus on the go here. These two bits of plastic here were basically just snapped and like cut off something, which was like, I mean, believe it or not, it was actually the end cap for a light bulb. So this was protecting the end cap on a light bulb, but because it was curved and it kind of matched the curve of the capsule somewhat, I just snapped and like cut this up a bit and then screwed one end onto the end of the actual brass bar there, and then the two pieces got glued together, and then the second piece got glued onto the the capsule. Now these two things only got glued together just so I could get more length on the capsule to come further up, so it got further to the end of the tube on the microphone. Anyways, that will do it for that. Okay, so as we could see there, I think the word butchered probably works better than modified for this particular microphone. Actually, most of the things that I modify are essentially butchered. I will just use whatever I can, bits of plastic, bits of metal, anything, in order to try and get something modified. I don't care as long as it works. And the other thing as well, nobody's going to know how bad that looks inside. Anyway, so that would give us a really good idea of what it all looks like and essentially how I went about doing it. But the other thing as well that I hadn't done after doing this microphone was just to see what it would be like with the capsule on its own without the body on it. So let me just cut away to something that I did just try. I've not heard this yet, by the way, so I don't know. It might be an absolute wreck, and I think I'll explain why I want to do this take now. Okay, so with the outside of the body taken off, this is exactly what it sounds like. Okay, so hopefully that take was okay then. If not, I would have cut it short. You have to remember, I don't know what's going on here because I've not listened back to any of this stuff yet. So if that was cut short, the reason why it would have been cut short was either because of electromagnetic interference or radio frequency interference, both of which can actually destroy the sound of what's going on. And that would have been strictly down to the body not being like on the microphone and stuff, because the body does act for two types of kind of protection. Physical protection for like the electronics in the capsule, but also EM and RF interference, you know, protection and stuff like that. So the thing is, you know, I don't know if I did cut that short just then. However, if I didn't cut it short, how did it sound without the actual body on it? And the thing is, if it did sound okay, it's another option for me to use it, but use it with like, you know, like a clean plate over it and stuff, so it's not in the shot, because it does look awful without the body on it. Anyways, I'll start winding this up now with let's see, the cost of this microphone. So basically, if you kind of hang around for the right deals, and I did this on Amazon, you know, for the pricing of them. I mean, I got the pair of them for nothing, but I've had a look on like deals on Amazon, and at certain times you can pick up the both of them for about £150, maybe a little bit less. Now, some people out there might be thinking, but hold on, £150 just so that you can butcher a microphone. Like, doesn't that sound like, you know, a bit too much money and stuff to be doing something like that? Well, in this instance, I would say no. And the reason why is because I've already done a video comparing this to an SM7B. There'll be a link to that video somewhere on the screen and at the end and in the description. Now, in that video, I was actually pleasantly surprised that I personally preferred this microphone over the 7B. And at that point, you've got to say, well, this is at least like half of the price of a 7B. At the moment, a 7B in the UK is anywhere between £350 to £400. And this obviously could cost you about £150. If you bought these two microphones second hand, it's going to cost you even less to do that. So again, this brings me back around to the thing about price and stuff. See, the thing is, it's all well and good when people go, yeah, I picked up this microphone for £20 and it sounds great. Well, you know, the real, let's get real about these things. I was going to say something else there, but it would have meant swearing, right? And I don't want to do that in this video. Let's get real about something here. The thing is, every now and then you can buy a cheap microphone and it sounds great, but that is like not going to happen that often. I used to do tons and tons of stuff about cheap mics. That's how I started off my channel. Basically, my main channel was like microphone stuff and audio and things. And I used to do a lot with like cheaper microphones. And yes, you can, you know, buy a cheap mic and it sounds great, but more often than not, a cheap microphone is going to be pretty garbage for you, or pretty much garbage. Say pretty garbage. It's not like garbage ever looks pretty, really, but it's pretty much going to be garbage. Now, the thing is, you are going to have to start spending more money in order to get a decent microphone. And I would say that your bottom line, your absolute bottom line for a decent microphone is going to be a Rode NT1A. That's like the original NT1A, not like whatever they've done recently, like that weird one which is USB, is it, and stuff like that. I mean, not that I'm saying don't get that, but the original NT1A, that kind of like, you know, that price there, or even the NT1, either one of those, for me, they're kind of like your entry level into having a good microphone. Now after that, a microphone is just going to be down to like, you know, personal preference, or whether a microphone is more suited to a particular thing, maybe a particular voice, a particular position for the voice, or a particular instrument if you're doing music and studio recording and stuff like that. But nonetheless, you know, you're talking realistically 120, 150 pound, maybe like 180, $200. You're talking about that as a minimum to get into a decent microphone, and then you're just going north of that by, you know, like hundreds and hundreds or possibly thousands and stuff. So when people start talking about like microphones, and if you're lucky to pick up a mic for say 20 to 80 pounds, euros, and it suits you and it works for you, it works dead well, then that's great. But I guarantee you, you know, most people are having to pay a lot more money than that to get the microphone that like suits them the best and stuff. I mean, my usual overhead microphone, they're about 350 to 400 pound and stuff. I mean, I could argue and say the use I get out of my one is massive. It's paid for itself many times over. So the thing is, if you buy an expensive microphone, you use it a lot, then that justifies the price of it. But getting back to the point that I'm making here, you know, you very rarely get like a great microphone for like naff or money. It just doesn't work that way usually. Hence why, if you can, or like as I've done here, I've modified the microphone with inside of a budget of £150, which to my ears, this microphone is better than my 7B. And there was nothing wrong with my 7B. I thought the 7B suited my voice really well. It helped with my sibilance, and it just kind of tamed my voice a bit more, which is good on camera because, you know, I can get quite excited when I'm doing stuff to camera and whatnot, and my voice can be quite annoying, I think, certain frequencies within my voice. And the thing is, the 7B can kind of curtail that quite well. But I think this microphone does an even better job than that. It's definitely a bit more bass responsive as well. You could argue it might be a bit too much, I don't know, but that's down to personal preference. I think it sounds really warm and it sounds dead nice. So basically for £150, I'm thinking this sounds great for what it is. There's definitely way better mics than this, but they're going to cost a lot more money. Anyway, I think that'll start like doing it for this, or I will start wrapping up, because that should do it for this video. Did I just bleat on a bit too much about trying to justify the price for this microphone? Because it shouldn't have done. The thing is, at the end of the day, no matter how much money you want to spend on a microphone, if you spend X amount of money and you're happy to do that and the mic does the job that it should do for you, doesn't matter how much it costs, as long as you can afford to buy the microphone. Do you know what I mean? It's as simple as that. Anyway, yeah, I think that should do it for this video, and hopefully I have not been plosiven. Sorry, I didn't mention the plosiven thing. What it is for this, because the microphone is so big, it's got a big diameter. The only reason why I've not used a foam filter in this particular video is because the only foam filter that I've got is really big, and I would rather avoid using a big chunky foam filter because it kind of does consume the frame quite a bit, and I think it can look a bit distracting. So hopefully this hasn't been so bad for plosives and stuff like that in this video. Anywho, that'll do it. So if anybody's caught this video, let me know in the comments and whatnot what you've thought of the microphone and how does it sound and stuff. In fact, actually, one last thing, I'm just going to jump out of the frame and let's do a silence test. So I'll go silent. Let's see what the noise or lack of noise or whatever is like for this microphone. Okay, so that will definitely do it for this video. If you've liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you've super liked it, sub to the channel and click on that bell notification icon to be notified of similar videos to this one in the future, because there are a few more coming up. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.